Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this baby blanket here. Now there's not a lot of room here, but I'll show you. It measures approximately 34 by 36. So that's about the size, but of course you can make it bigger if you want. Now it's made with the Rocky Road stitch, so you can see the texture on it. And the stitch looks the same on both sides. So just trying to give you a little look at the texture. And then it's got lots of ruffles for the edging. Oh, and if you want to leave those ruffles off, that's perfectly fine too. Shells and ruffles. Ruffly shells. And I think it turned out really nice. And it actually is not too hard. It's just a one row repeat actually. It's not that hard at all. As long as you got the basic understanding of single and double down, you'll probably be able to make this blanket. So let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, for this project, I am using a Lion brand. Put my camera up here. Pound of Love. Now it is a medium weight for 100% premium acrylic. Now you don't have to use this yarn. You can use any type of 4-weight yarn that you want. Just make sure that is soft for baby. And there are 1,020 yards per ball here. Now this is my second ball. I went through not all of 2, but I needed 2. I didn't go through a lot of the 2, so I would say probably 12, that's a guess, probably 1,200 yards, maybe 13 of the main color. And the color that I'm using is called Creamsicle. And then I used the same brand. This is the same brand. This one is Antique White, and this was one ball here, and this is what I have left of it. So you're going to need probably 800 yards of the 800 yards probably of the edging color if you decide to put that ruffle on it. And then I'm going to be using a size I, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Now, as always, I just want to take a second to ask you to not forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you look in the lower right hand corner of the screen right now, you'll see a little red subscribe button. Now, if you're not subscribed, if you click on that button, you'll be subscribed and you won't miss any of my updates. Also, I want to remind you not to forget to check me out on Facebook. You can post your crochet items on there that you make from my videos. I'd really like to see them. The link below is in the description box. And also, if you like this blanket and you like my video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Okay, so this stitch is done in a multiple of 4 plus 3. In case you want to make your blanket bigger or smaller, or use this stitch for something else. 4 plus 3. Now if you want to follow along with me, I chained 111 chains. So 111 is what I started out with. Okay, since I already got my big piece done, I'm going to show you on a smaller scale. But once you get your chain of 111 finished, what we're going to do is do 1 single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. Now remember, we don't count this one that's on our hook. So 1, 2, single crochet into that second stitch. Like that. Now we're going to start the repeat of the row. We are going to single crochet into the next stitch. Like that. And then we're going to work a chain of 2. And then we're going to put 2 double crochets right back into that same stitch that we just single crocheted into. So right back into that same stitch, you put 2 double crochets. Now we're going to skip 2 stitches, skip, skip, and single crochet into the next. So skip 2 and then single crochet. Now we're going to repeat it again. So we'll start by our repeat by single crocheting into the next stitch. And then we're going to chain 2. And then we're going to work 2 double crochets right into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. Or that we just single crocheted into. I'm so sorry. And then we're going to skip 2 again. So skip, 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 single crochet into the next. Then we're going to repeat it again, what we did. So we start by single crocheting into the next stitch. And then we chain 2 and go back and double crochet right there into that same stitch that we just single crocheted into. 2 double crochets into it. Like that. Skip 2, so skip, skip, single into the next. Now we're going to repeat it again. So we start off by single crocheting into the next stitch, chain 2, and 2 doubles right back into that same stitch. And this is what we're going to repeat to the end of the row. Skip 2 and single into the next. Now we'll start again. I'll repeat, single into the next, chain 2, and 2 doubles back into that same stitch that we just singled into. Like that. And this is what it's starting to look like. So we skip 2, skip, skip, and single into the next. Then we start our repeat again, single into the next stitch, chain 2, and 2 doubles right back into that same stitch. Skip 2 and single into the next. And then we'll start our repeat again by single crocheting into the next, chain 2, 2 doubles into the same stitch, and we're just going to repeat this pattern that we've been doing until we get to the end of the row. Okay, when you make it to the end, I finished out a complete repeat. I skipped 2 here and I single crocheted into my next, and I have 1 stitch that remains. Go ahead and just end by single crocheting into that last stitch. Now you'll have 27 of these little things right here. 27, if you're following me. So now we're going to start row 2, and row 2 is the repeat row for the entire blanket. So we're going to start row 2 by chaining 1 and turning our work. And we're going to put a single crochet right here into this very first stitch. And then we're going to start our repeat by single crocheting into the next stitch, chain 2, and then 2 double crochets back into that same stitch. I apologize if my hands are a little shaky. I just drank a cup of coffee and I'm really caffeine sensitive. So just like that. Now we're going to skip all this. We're going to skip this double, skip this double, skip this chain space, and we're going to single crochet right here in this single crochet. And that will end the repeat of the row. So this goes kind of in the back of your work like that. And that makes that little texture. So we're going to start again. We're going to single crochet into this next single crochet. So single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 2. And 2 double crochets back into the same stitch. and then we skip all this here. You skip the 2 double crochets and the chain space, and we're going to single crochet right over here into this single crochet, the first one. There's 2 there, you see them? Single crochet into the first one. Kind of push this back like that, and if you flip it, you can see. So we're going to start again, single crochet into that next stitch. So the single crochet right here, I'm going to single crochet into it, chain 2, go back into the same stitch and work 2 double crochets, and then you skip all this, the 2 doubles and the chain space, and we're going to single crochet into, see, right, if you pull this apart, you'll see there's 2 stitches there. Single crochet into that first single crochet there, pushing all that stuff to the back like that. And then we start again by single crocheting into the next stitch, and we're just repeating, chain 2, 2 double crochets back into the same stitch, we skip all this here, and there is our 2 single crochets right there. We need to single crochet into the first one, but making sure all that stuff's pushed back. So single into the first one, and that'll end the repeat. And then you start again by singling crocheting into the next stitch and repeating, chain 2, 2 doubles back in the same stitch, skip all this here and single crochet into the first single crochet over here, just like that, and then repeat. So you just repeat that pattern until you get to the end of the row, and that's what the other side starts to look like. It kind of bumps out a little bit. Okay, I'm coming to the end here, and I did my single crochet, chain 2, and 2 doubled into that stitch, and I'm at my last here. There's 2 single crochets here on the end. There's this one, and then this one, it's kind of the end of the chain there. Single crochet into that first single crochet, and then we end the row by single crocheting into our last stitch. So there it is. Flip it over, that's what it looks like. So we're just going to keep repeating row 2. So we just chain 1 and turn our work, and we're just going to repeat what we just did on the previous row. So we single crochet into the first stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, and work 2 more doubles back into that same stitch, and then we're going to skip all this here, and then you'll see those 2 single crochets here. We're going to single crochet in the first one, pushing this one kind of back. So single crochet into that first one like that, and then single crochet into the next one, and we just repeat again by chaining 2, 2 double crochets into the same stitch, and then we skip all this. We skip the 2 doubles into the chain space and single crochet into that first single crochet, pushing all this stuff kind of back. That. Single crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, 2 doubles into the same stitch, and then we're going to skip all this, and then see those 2 singles in the middle? We just do the same thing. Single crochet into the first one, single crochet into the next one, and then we do our chain 2 and 2 doubles back into that same one. Skip all this. There's our 2 single crochets. If you have trouble seeing them, you just pull them apart there. Single crochet into the first one, single crochet into the next one, and then we chain 2 and did 2 more doubles back into that same stitch. Now we're just going to keep repeating that row 2. That's all it is. It's just repeating that. Oops. Repeating that until you get to the end of the row. When you get to the end here, you just single crochet in these last 2 stitches, chain 1 and turn, and just keep repeating. Now there is one thing though about this stitch here. These kind of tend to go their own way, so you will have to kind of like fix them at the end just a little bit so they all pop out the right way, like that. But it's easy. Not, you know, some of them will just be kind of off once you get to going. And don't worry about it if it starts to look kind of like flat and funny, because some of them pop their own way. They got a mind of their own. But at the end, you can fix it and make them pop out the right way like that. So I wouldn't worry about it too much until you get finished. And then you can kind of make them do what you want them to do. So what you want to do is you just want to keep repeating row 2, back and forth, back and forth. Just keep doing rows of just repeating row 2, and you want to do that until you get the blanket as tall as you want it to be. All right, you want to continue this until you get it as long as you want it to be. I made mine approximately 30 inches, and I tried to count the rows, but I think it was like 110, 112 rows. But you don't have to follow me. Just do it approximately 30 inches. Unless you want it longer, by all means, you make it as long as you want. You'll just need a little bit more yarn, you know, than when I say in the beginning. Okay, now, once you make it here, you get it as long as you want it to be. Now we're going to go along the whole piece, and we're going to line it with single crochet. We're going to clean up the edges before we put our border on. So I didn't tie off. What I want to do after my last row is work a chain of 1. And now I'm going to work down the sides. Now it's going to be kind of hard to tell where the stitches need to go, because you're working kind of on the sides of the stitches. But I'm just going to put 1 single crochet kind of in every one of them little holes that I see. See the next one? Like that. And the next one. Now, your stitches are probably not going to be the same as mine, since we're just trying our best to evenly space them out. And that's fine. The only thing you need to worry about is when you're done with this row of single crochet, after we go all the way around it, is having an even number. You need to make sure that you end in an even number. But what I'm doing is just putting 1 single crochet. I think it's at the end of every row. It's kind of hard to tell, but every one of these little spaces here at the end. And I'm going to do this all the way down this first side. And then I will meet you at the very first corner, because we're going to do something a little different in the corner. So just evenly space out your single crochets down the side here the best that you can. And I'll meet you all the way down here at the very first corner. Alright, I've made it down here to the corner. So let's see. I got 1 more stitch to go. So right here we will say is our corner stitch. Either one of these two. It's not really that important. It's just one of those stitches. So we'll go up here, and in the corner we're going to work 4 single crochets. And this is going to help the corner to lay flat a little bit better. Like that. And now we're going to start working along the other side here, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. now what we're doing is kind of working on, if you look, there's chain spaces and single crochets and whatnot. So again, you're just going to have to evenly space out your single crochets the best that you can. So what I'm going to do is put 2 single crochets to each one of these chain spaces like that, and then there's like this single crochet I think right here. I'll put 1 into that. So that's how I'm going to evenly space mine. Oh, and 1 in this next stitch here, this little shell area. It's kind of hard to see where they need to go, but again, you don't have to do yours exactly like mine. Just evenly space them, you know. Here's my chain. I'm going to try to put 2 single crochets into that chain. It's so hard to evenly space around things whenever, you know, they look like this. I'll put 1 single crochet there and 1 there, and then I'll be at my chain again, and that's where I'll put 2 single crochets. So that's what I'm going to do down this side. Now if you feel like you want to space it differently, that's fine, as long as you know it's getting evenly spaced and it's laying pretty flat and not bunching up on, or not stretching. If it's starting to ruffle a little bit, that means that there's too many stitches, but that's okay because we're going to put a big ruffle around it anyways, and you're not even going to be able to tell if this edge is ruffling. So if it is, don't worry about that. But the one thing that you want to make sure when you're evenly spacing out your single crochets is that it doesn't start to like really stretch. That means that you don't have enough and I need to go add more to make it lay flat. I hope that makes sense. But again, I'm just going to continue evenly spacing 1 single crochet in every stitch as best as I can until I get to my next corner. And I'll meet you up there at my next corner. Once we get this round down, the rest is going to be easy breezy. I hope anyways. Can't say for sure because sometimes you run into troubles, but I think it'll be pretty easy after this round's done here. So I'm going to meet you at the corner here in just a second. Alright, I made it up here to this next corner, and you can see this is kind of where we started. So right here in this first space, I'm going to put 4 single crochets. I'm going to try to hide that tail as I go. And now I'm going to continue working 1 single crochet in every stitch down this side. And let's see what we got. So just do your best to evenly space out your single crochets again along this side. Looks like you'll probably be able to tell one, looks like 1 at the end of each row, maybe. Just like that. So I'm going to continue the same process that we've been doing this whole time. I'm going to evenly space out my single crochets down this side. And then when I get up to the next corner, I'll put 4 single crochets in it. And then I'll continue down our last side, evenly spacing out 1 single crochet, the best that I can. And then when I make it to the end of that last side, will be where we started. And I will meet you back up at where we started. Remember to put 4 single crochets into the next corner that's coming up, and then evenly space out the rest of your single crochets. Alright, I have made it all the way back to my starting point, and I have 1 stitch left. I'm going to put 4 single crochets into that last stitch. And then we're going to end this by slip stitching into our first single crochet. Don't go into that chain 1 that's right here. Go into the very first single crochet we did. So that looks like a stitch, but it's actually the chain 1. Come right down here and single crochet. Now remember, you need to have an even number now. If you do not have an even number, just take out one of these 4. Say you have an odd number right now, instead of putting 4 stitches in here, just put 3 and that'll make it an even number. It's not a big deal. But if you ended up with an even number right on, that's cool. Otherwise, no big deal to just make that last corner have 3 stitches in it. Because like I said, the ruffle that I put on it, it's going to be super ruffly. You're not even going to be able to tell. Even if you don't want the ruffle, you're still not going to be able to tell that. All right, so I went ahead and clipped my yarn off there. Now I'm going to bring in, I'm going to use white for my edging. So I'm going to bring that in. All right, now I'm going to start just somewhere along the corner here. And I'm going to go around it with a row of single crochet using my white before I start doing like the ruffly stuff. Now, say you're doing this for a boy baby and you don't want it to be all ruffly. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal to have rufflies for a boy, but maybe you don't want rufflies for a boy, and that's fine. You can just do a couple rows of single crochet to edge it. That would work great too, you know, and like you can use the same color of this or use the white. Otherwise, I'm going to do some ruffles. So I'm going to go ahead and just start anywhere, kind of around where you ended. Chain 1, go back into that same stitch, single crochet, and now I'm just going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch. I'm not doing anything special around the corners. Just the same 1 single crochet in every stitch. So no extras around the corners. And I'm going to do this all the way around my entire piece. Working 1 single crochet in every stitch with my border collar. Maybe. Oh, I got my tail. So I'm just going to continue working 1 single crochet all around my entire blanket. Remember, there's nothing special being done at the corners. We're just putting 1 single crochet in every stitch on the corner. And I'm going to do this all the way around until I get back right here to where I started. Alright, I've made it all the way around with my white trim and I'm back to my starting point. So I'm going to go ahead and end with a slip stitch into my first single crochet. You still should have the same number of stitches that you did on the previous row of single crochet. So it needs to be that even number. So we're going to chain 1. We're going to go right back into that same stitch and single crochet. Like that. Then we're going to chain 3, go in directly into the next stitch and single crochet. Chain 3, go into the next stitch and single crochet. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around. Chain 3, single crochet right into the next stitch, so we're not skipping any stitches. Chain 3, single into the next. We're just going to keep repeating that. So it's chain 3, single crochet into the next. Chain 3, and single crochet into the next. Now it's going to start to get really probably wavy. And that's what you want though. You want it to get all ruffly. So you're not doing anything wrong if it starts to look all bunched up and stuff. So it's going to look like that. So we're just going to go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around the entire blanket. Chain 3. Single into the next, chain 3, single into the next, just like that. See how mine's getting all ruffly? That's what we want. Alright, I have made it to the end of my first row of ruffles here. So I single crocheted there into my last stitch. Now I'll show you what we're going to do to continue doing the ruffles. So I'm going to do a chain of 1. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to half double crochet into this next chain space. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go right through the chain space and half double crochet, just like that. So now I'm going to start again by chaining 1. I'm going to go back into the same chain space right here and single crochet. And then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to single crochet into the next chain space. And then I'm going to chain 3 and single crochet into the next chain space. And this is what I'm going to do all the way around. Chain 3, single crochet into the next chain space, chain 3, single into the next chain space. So I'm just going to repeat this pattern all the way around until I get back to my starting point. And it's going to kind of continue to ruffle up a bit. So chain 3, single crochet into your next chain space. Make sure you get your next chain space because they're chain 3, they're pretty like cramped together, so I always kind of just pull them apart to make sure I'm getting the right one. Single crochet, chain 3, find my next chain space, go right through it, chain or single crochet, and then chain 3, next chain space, go right through it, single crochet and chain 3. And I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around until I get back right over here to my starting point. Alrighty, I've come to the end of row 2 of the ruffles. So I did my single crochet into that last chain space. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to half double right over here into the next chain space here of the beginning of the row. Half double crochet. Like that. And I'm going to repeat it again. So I'm going to chain 1, go back into this chain space right here, single crochet, and I'm going to chain 3, single crochet into the next chain space, chain 3, single into the next chain space, chain 3. So I'm just repeating what I did on the previous row. Chain 3, single into the next chain space, chain 3, single into the next chain space, all the way around until we make it right back here to where we started. Alright, I made it round on my third round of ruffles. Now, you can continue doing that round for as long as you want your ruffles to be. I know some baby blankets have them really, really long and it's really pretty. But I'm going to go ahead and stop here and add some shells to finish it off. So I went ahead and I single crocheted there in my last chain. And here, up here is our starting chain. So we're just going to finish it off like normal. We're going to chain 1 and then we're going to half double crochet into this first chain space. Like that. So we're going to start right here in this chain space here. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to go back into it and single crochet. Now I'm going to jump to this next chain space and I'm going to work a shell. Now this shell is going to be 9 double crochets into the same chain space. So it's a big old shell. Then I'm going to jump to the next chain space and I'm going to single crochet. Like that. Then I'm going to jump to the next chain space and work a shell. So it'll be 9 double crochets. And then single into the next chain space. And that's what I'm going to repeat all the way around. Jump to the next chain space and work my shell, which is the 9 double crochets. And then I'm going to jump to my next chain space and work a single crochet. So I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around the whole blanket. Shell into the next chain space and then single crochet into the next. Shell, single crochet, shell, single crochet, all the way around until you get back to your starting point. All right. I have made it to the end of that row with the shells. I did a shell into that last chain space, and how we're going to end is by slip stitching right there into our very first single crochet, and then we can go ahead and tie that off. And I'm not gonna lie, I am glad that round is over. That was a never-ending round for me. That took a long time to do that. It did for me anyways. So that's it. Now, blanket is finished after you hide that tail. Now, what you can do, like I said earlier, let me get it to where it's facing right. It's really roughly. I think it turned out really nice. If you just want to go through, sometimes you might have to pop out these little stitches just to make them pop out right. Sometimes they turn out right, but every once in a while you might have to go through and kind of just straighten them up. See, like right here. That one's supposed to be popped in and that one's supposed to be popped out. But most of them turned out pretty good. Just got to straighten them a little bit. They just get tangled up within each other, like we talked about. So, but that's it. That's all there is to it. I think it turned out really nice. It's just, I got to hide some tails. Really roughly. I like it. It's cute. I don't have anybody to give it to, but I'll find somebody to donate it to, that's for sure. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Don't forget to check out all the tutorials on my channel. I have hundreds and hundreds of tutorials. Surely, I bet you'll find something there that you like and want to make. Also, don't forget, if you make this or any of my crochet stuff, you can always show me a picture on Facebook. I'd really love to see it. I'll put a link. There's a link to that below in the description box. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you look up in the left-hand corner right now, you'll see a picture of my face. If you just go ahead and click on my face, you'll automatically be subscribed. And then you'll never miss any of my updates. And that's it. So, thanks everybody for watching. Have a good night.